Hi, my name is Ranjan Mujumdar. After a long day, I am going to create a new tutorial. I am going to start a new session of JavaScript. This is the first tutorial of JavaScript. Day after day, you will learn JavaScript from beginner to advanced level. After the completion of this session, a learner will achieve programming technique and how to write JavaScript and jQuery code. Let us start the tutorial. So, what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a dynamic computer programming language. It is lightweight and commonly used as a part of web pages. It is a client-sided programming language and it is also an interpreted programming language. So the main part is it is an interpreted programming language. A developer, just a JavaScript developer, should understand the functionality of interpreted programming language and compiled programming language. Remember, there are two types of programming language. One is compiled programming language and interpreted programming language. So the difference between compiled language and interpreted language. A compiled language is a programming language which are generally compiled. It is one where program once compiled or compiled as a whole is expressed in the instruction of the target machine. That means HLL means high level programming language like C, C++, Java. These languages are compiled as a whole. And an interpreted programming language is a programming language which are generally interpreted without compiling a program. That means JavaScript is an interpreted programming language which is not compiled, which is interpreted into machine instruction. It is one where the instructions are not directly executed by the target machine, but instead read and executed by some other program. Interpreted programming languages are JavaScript, Perl, Python, Basic. Remember, in case of interpreted programming language, parsing is done line by line. But in case of compiled language, parsing is done as a whole. So previous name of JavaScript. The first name of JavaScript is LiveScript, but Netscape changed its name to JavaScript. So LiveScript was the previous name of JavaScript and Netscape changed its name to JavaScript. Characteristic of JavaScript. It is a lightweight interpreted programming language. Few minutes before I explained. It is a language which is integrated with Java and HTML. It is used for client-sided programming and it is open and cross-platform. So a web page need not be a static HTML. It includes JavaScript which controls web browser and dynamically create HTML content. So JavaScript is a lightweight and interpreted programming language. It is integrated with Java, HTML, and .NET also. JavaScript is a client-sided programming. You have to understand the functionality of client-sided programming and server-sided programming. Let us explain this using an example. Suppose you are using a server-sided programming like PHP. And using submit button, you want to add a record. In that case, PHP will interact with the server and add the record in database and give the response. In this whole process, PHP means server-sided programming will take much more time than client-sided programming. In case of client-sided programming, JavaScript will not interact with server. That is the reason client-sided programming will take less time than server-side programming. Second important point is cross-platform. What is cross-platform? Suppose you have written a code, that's means JavaScript code in Windows platform, and you want to execute the same code into Linux platform, then in both cases, means in both platform, JavaScript will give same result. That is the reason JavaScript is called cross-platform. That means JavaScript code executes in cross-platform and will give same result. The next point is advantages of JavaScript. Less server interaction. Before sending to the server, a developer can validate user input, do all tasks in client side. JavaScript has multiple functions which work on string, number, and array. Process these values before sending it to server and solve client-side problems. Client-sided language like JavaScript is very fast comparatively with server-sided programming, and it supports OOP, that means object-oriented programming. Later, I will describe the functionality of object-oriented programming. For now, you just remember that it supports, that means JavaScript supports OOP. In case of JavaScript, people do not have to wait for page load to see if they have forgotten to enter something. Limitation. Client-side JavaScript does not allow the reading and writing files, where Java allows reading and writing file. Important thing, client-sided programming like JavaScript does not allow reading and writing. So using JavaScript, a JavaScript developer cannot read or write a file, whereas a Java developer can read and write files using programming technique. It does not have any multi-threading or multi-processor capabilities. It cannot support networking applications because there is no such support available. Due to this reason, a developer cannot treat JavaScript as a full-fledged language, but Java as a full-fledged language. So remember, Java is a full-fledged language, but JavaScript is not a full-fledged language due to this lack of the capabilities of JavaScript. It cannot read and write files. It does not have multi-threading and multi-processor capabilities, and it cannot support networking applications. So Java is a full-fledged language, but JavaScript is not a full-fledged language. Now the development tool. So a developer can write JavaScript code in these tools or in this editor. These editors are Microsoft Font Page, Macromedia Dreamweaver MX, Macromedia Homesite, Visual Studio Editor, and Sublime Text. I will follow, that's mean I will write code in Visual Studio Editor because I am habituated to write code in Visual Studio Editor. So JavaScript is a product of Netscape, whereas JScript is a product of Microsoft. Both supports ECMAScript. Now I will follow ECMAScript 5. That is ES5. So let us introduce the functionality of JavaScript using a short example. Using this example, I will show how to write JavaScript code and how to interact JavaScript with HTML. At first, I am creating a folder named JavaScript, and you all know that how to open Visual Studio Code Editor. Here I am using CMD. So the JavaScript folder is in desktop folder, desktop directory. So, I am going to desktop. Now, Again, I am going to JavaScript folder. Now I am using code dot. So using code dot, a developer can open Visual Studio Code Editor. Now I am going to create HTML file. Remember a JavaScript developer can write code in HTML file, Java file and .NET file. So here I am using HTML file. We all know to show the basic template of HTML file in Visual Studio Code Editor, we can use exclamation sign. Exclamation sign will show a default code or default template. Here I am using a button. A button value. I think you all have already followed my HTML tutorials and CSS tutorials also. On click. What is on click? On click is an event. This means when you click on the button, the on click event occurs. And here I am writing a function. This is function name. That means when you click on the button and click event occurs, and you on this click event, the first functions will be executed. Here, a JavaScript developer should use open parenthesis and close parenthesis. This parenthesis symbolizes that it is a function. Now, after body, a JavaScript developer need to define the function. So, you all know that body is a non-empty element because it has closing tag. By the same way, script is a non-empty element because it has closing tag. Now, to write the functionality of this function, first function, a developer, JavaScript developer should define this function here. That means within script. So this script is definition section. Remember. So there are two things of JavaScript. One is function call. This is function call for on-click event, and this is definition part. Here I am using alert. Alert is a predefined function. I am using my name for. So alert is a predefined function, and this is an argument for this predefined function. In case of alert, a developer can use single argument. This entire thing is an argument. Okay, now I am saving it and opening the JavaScript, opening the file. If I click on this click me, that means the on click event occurs and first functions will be executed. Now you can see the alert. Okay, so this is the basic functionality of JavaScript. Okay, so here you can see the JavaScript programming is not interacting with server. That is the reason it is called client-sided programming. I hope you all enjoyed the basic tutorial of JavaScript. If you have any query regarding this tutorial, please send me a message. If you like this tutorial, please press the like button. If you have not subscribed my channel till now, please subscribe my channel. Thank you.